Dobar dan, dobri ljudi. Moje ime je Milan Vilić, a vi ste na kanalu Vilić zapisi. Nadam se da je sada sve u redu sa tonom. Za one koji su tu već prisutni, bilo ko samo neka mi kaže da je sa tonom u redu i da nastavimo dalje. To je onako molbica. Vidim da vas ima, ali ajde da sačekamo, samo da znam da je sve ok. To mi je bitno. Sve ok. Inače da zahvalim vama na novom mikrofonu i na novoj mikseti tonskoj. Ja sve što sam istestirao do sada treba da je dobar zvuk i da više nećemo brinuti o tome nego da radimo live emisije. Danas sam planirao da vam jednu neobičan live napravimo. Sinoć je izašao na Redactidu kod Claytona Morrisa jedan džinovski intervju Davida ICKE. I smatram da, pošto je on tu prvi put gostovao, jedan veoma obiman i veoma značajan intervju i da želeo bih da primite informacije koje vam David donosi, jer kasnije više nećemo imati vremena da se time bavimo, a to treba da vam bude, na moje tačke gledišta, prisutno kada razmišljate i razmatrate i poimate svet oko sebe. Ne bih mnogo da vam dužim, nego da počnemo sa tim intervjuom. Dosta dugo traje, zavalite se, bit će onih reklama koje će upadati, to se ne može izbeći. Gledat ću ja to da čistim koliko mogu, ali zaista i ja ga nisam do kraja oslušao. U samom uvodu intervjua sam video i ja ga procenio kao jedan veoma kapitalan intervju i hajde da počnemo, što bi se.
The next big fight, borders, money, mine. What goal is humans created like a living hardware, AI. But inject free. Map if you brand new these people break free of this. Warning about this doing that there's to use human. Really lucky. You because spot. Hope that this interview really want you to hoping for this. I guess let me just basically staring into a future. Don't just use tech. Billion, where the Internet of Things monitor humidity of humans, like program. They can know the thought. He really. Whoa. Yeah. The point is, your joints, ICKE, build up 50 beyond what the solution, or if you don't see this, understand it. Yeah. Massive black foods and all over. People look in all that. It's talking to then. Hey, now you're faced with billions of people. If they realize you're your religious belief, it must immediately you are not because you and religions tend to people, and so you stay global network mission. They don't. You believe, as long as you believe rigidly, not going. And then against each all the time. Do it. rigid belief you're playing. Now, is he fighting? Simple question. Who are we really? Who are we? How? Hear this. Is this interact? Because we are eternal. Defect called human. We are not for the few to conceive. Without once you've got we are looking the control of this used period information. Now, our positions come behave. You want it, you know, it's essential because hearing is a very, very movie. You have billions who went to even because they believe those men, if you break bring it down, Rockefeller, billions of people all COVID and walking away did it because this is the only way to. Wonderful. Really, this narrative. And they work in these, and they worked in were banned to YouTube. You control. You go on. Is he's yeah, he threw that. I think maybe full of it. But we're moving beyond that. Using it. Want the is to people like Google. Human it will come deliver is the people Bill Gates. Because he's talking yeah. Is diffused with will be peace. Women who not happy pushing back on time. It is let alone years and because was allowed, knew it was take level or positioned himself global AI to the end. People that don't remember was out there.
You like
Lose. Just and then he bought Musk. Look. Yeah, okay. Do each other. He criticized so much of fear is one couldn't have it's in and out. What you have now, two things from you see that this guy when he gets in, he's gonna crucially he is going to 2 days he feeling announced with season must eat a deal who's getting contact to you've got Mark and AI all these you know, in the situation that we and people use the Link created is instead under what can a you need to go and create a structure your state. You look First World War was you then had dismantling economics. Then you had this you had the Bretton Woods, the United Nations, massive move from the end of to pretty much into one in the system. What Trump is doing now, moving into system in order in architect. Musk. Look at it's been feed income. Because what he said must once you think convinced is inevitable, already weakening. So, he's saying that X become humans. We don't use humans. Humans. So you've got when to this and Elon Musk, most man, Bina, they're all gophers. English. Horses. Horses. One level. There's another another level. Through
Ti palo nešto na pamet.
Next vehicle is ready within human reality. My conscious, your conscious, radio. Is the to what we are in the great infinity beyond human nightmare. That people are mean, not mean, means that you are moving here, you are opening that people realize stop people. What's limitation of you can be you become increasing. That point of view, of vision, it's it. I before then. Tension. It wasn't just physical. Who am I? working. Most video reality. Reality is no. No. Global
Make it a habit, 7 minutes of Tai Chi every morning all the way for 1 month. This Monday we will...
Well, what if the next big fight isn't just over borders or money, but over your body and your mind? What if the end goal is a world where...
That's the gift. We can go into how it works as well. But in the early 1990s, when I was uncovering this cult, I realized that rich and famous people, many who were on the news constantly, were taking part in Satanism, in satanic ritual, in human sacrifice ritual. And you're going, what? Why? What's the game? And not just Satanism, but also pedophilia, because those two are connected actually by the same thing. And then I've met Satanists and former Satanists and people who've observed the rituals against their will as well, all over the world, from the 1990s onwards and onwards and onwards. And wherever you talk to them in the world, they talk about the same thing. It's that these people who are doing these satanic rituals, and the whole foundation of this global cult is based on Satanism and pedophilia. They are actually interacting with their gods as they perceive them. Actually a bunch of prats, but they perceive them as gods. They're masters, if you like. And then I thought, okay, and I got detail on that, which I put in the books, but then I thought, well, they've been doing this all along, haven't they? I mean, look at the ancient world, and they were sacrificing people to the gods as a gift to the gods. Right. And then again, the question, what do the gods get out of it then? What's the gift that they're giving them? And what happened is that in ancient societies, it was acceptable. It was part of the life that you sacrificed young virgins to the gods. What's that code for? Children. And that was all part of their life. And then as humanity matured, they stopped all that and it went underground, and that's where it is now. All this Satanism goes on in secret, comes up every now and again to the surface, and then they bang the hammer down to cover it up. But it's the absolute foundation of this whole cult network. So, what was the gift to the gods?
Right.
And then through many other sources, I came to this conclusion. And one of the sources was a guy called Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe was a kind of a media executive at one point, but he had this gift of being able to project his consciousness into this astral dimension and experience it and see it. And he became very skilled at this. He wrote a series of books about it. And it got the American military got so interested in what he was doing that they started a project called the Gateway Project, Gateway Process, it was called, to study this astral projection, as it's called. And they got other people together who had this gift, and they did this study, and the CIA declassified the report on it by the guy who ran it for the US military some years ago. And when you look at what I've been saying, is that this reptilian force, it's not only reptilian, by the way, but that seems to be a dominant part of it, is operating in this astral dimension. Well, what happened in the Gateway process, this US military operation, is that the participants saw so many reptilian entities in the astral dimension when they were projecting that they gave them, in the Gateway Project, a collective name. They called them the alligators. Oh, I've seen some more alligators, sort of stuff. And what Robert Monroe was saying he learned in his astral projections, and I've had this from many other sources as well, is that these entities, these astral entities, are feeding off low vibrational human energy. And
wow. So that's the gift.
That's the gift that comes in the satanic rituals, but it's also the gift that the whole of society is set up to produce. Now, this will explain a lot about why the world is as it is. First of all,
Ovaj uređaj vam omogućava da prevodite bilo koji jezik bez internet konekcije. Upoznajte NNC.
It's not just any human energy that these entities absorb, because they are themselves in a low vibrational state. It's higher vibrational state than the human world, but in the astral world, they're still in a low vibrational state. And thus, if they're going to absorb this human energy, which Robert Monroe called loosh, the name he gave to it, then it has to be within the frequency band that they are. And that frequency band relates to low vibrational human thought and emotion. So it's well known in mainstream science that every time we think and feel emotion, we are generating a frequency. And that frequency relates to the nature of the thought or the emotion. So joy, love, harmony, peace, appreciation, respect, these are all high vibrational energies generated by states of mental and emotional being that relate to those emotions, those thoughts. This force cannot absorb that. What it can absorb is low vibrational energy created by fear, anxiety, depression, war, other conflict, regret, hatred, remorse, and resentment, all these low vibrational emotional energies, they can absorb them. So what you have is this global cult within our reality, manipulating human experience. That's why we have all these bloody wars, to generate in the population low vibrational energy based on those mental and emotional states. And these entities are feeding off that. And so in the Matrix movie, which may have been apparent fiction, but there was a heck of a lot of things in there that were actually what's happening. And you had the Morpheus character, and he held up a battery, and he said, the Matrix, the simulation, is a computer-generated dream world built to turn humans into this, a battery. And that was a profound statement of truth within apparently fictional movie. So this force, both the global cult and its masters in the astral dimension, have absolutely no interest whatsoever in a world of love and peace and harmony and respect and joy. They have no interest in that, because that's not their energetic source. The low vibrational emotions are. So that's what the kind of world we live in overwhelmingly. So then we come back to these satanic rituals. What are the gifts to the gods? Well, they put the sacrificial victim through a process to generate maximum terror. I don't suppose they have to try very hard given the circumstances. Maximum terror. Imagine you're a kid, oh dear. And what's happening is, if I look at someone and they're in a very extreme emotional state, I will see in their facial expression and their body language that they're in an emotional state. What I won't see, because it's outside of visible light, is the energy, the frequencies they're giving off that relate to that state. Because that energy is in the frequency band of the astral dimension. So when these sacrificial rituals are happening, these entities oversee from the astral dimension the ritual, and they're feeding off this incredibly powerful and intense low vibrational energy called terror. And that's the gift to the gods. And at the same time, these Satanists within our human reality, they drink the blood of the sacrificial victim. And as people have told me who've witnessed this, they get high on it. It's like a drug to them, a massive high. Why? Because states of extreme terror release into the blood an adrenaline. And it's that adrenaline that they get high on. And that adrenaline brings us to adrenochrome. That's what adrenochrome is. It's blood laced with this adrenaline, which these people are literally addicted to. And when I was looking at these ancient societies that were doing this sacrificial stuff in the open, I realized, I write about this in the roadmap, that although we hear about the pantheons of gods, like the Greek pantheon and the Egyptian pantheon and the Roman pantheon, actually these pantheons of gods can be found all over the ancient world, in all these ancient societies. In fact, these pantheons still exist in the...
I'm 55 and 254 pounds. How long will it take me to lose 44 pounds with Asian walking?
Yes.
A belief system of Hinduism. And you then start to realize that although they have different languages and different cultures, so they call these gods different things, different names, they're actually the same gods. The gods, bunch of prats, that the elite today are doing their sacrificial rituals to are the same entities that they gave them to in the ancient world, because the timeline of the astral is completely different to this one. And so you start to put these things together, and you realize that the whole thing is basically founded on creating constant events to put people in low vibrational states, which then can be fed off, and that these satanic rituals are also another form of very concentrated production of this low vibrational energy. And you start to see why the world is as it is. They have no interest in a world of love, a world of joy, a world of harmony, none whatsoever. No, that's not lunch. Start another war. And that's why if you look through what we call history, there's a lot more to know about that. We've had this constant conflict, constant war, constant deprivation, constant suffering among vast tracts of humanity. I mean, you look at the First World War, you look at the Second World War. It's not just the people taking part, and death itself as a frequency of vibration. It's all the people back home worried if their loved one will return or not. Imagine the loosh, the low vibrational energy that will have been created in Gaza since October the 7th. And this is happening all around the world. And I'm banned from 30 European countries and Australia now, and many others if I try to get in there. But before that, I traveled really widely around the world since 1990. And you see the vast numbers of people, the great majority of people actually, are living very challenging lives, trying to survive another day, another month, or whatever, in terrible circumstances. And so there's all this challenge, emotion, a mental response energy that's basically turned the earth into a vast battery, producing energy for these entities to absorb. And it's one of the things, funnily enough, that I've written about over the years, and I do in the roadmap as part of that whole putting the dots together, is reincarnation. And this gateway process of the US military kind of came to the conclusion in its report that reincarnation is actually real, because what's reincarnating is not the body, it's consciousness. It's a state of awareness, a state of consciousness. Some people call it the soul, although that's only one level of it. And so you have this situation where, or certainly questioned in my mind, is when you leave the body, like in a near-death experience, or you leave permanently, what happens then? Are you then out of the simulation, out of the loosh production machine? Because if you were, because of what I've just said about the challenging lives that so many people have, the great majority, if you left the body at the end of an experience of human, surely you would say, well, I'm not going back there.
Right.
Stop that for a game of soldiers. That's horrible.
Right. You gave me the experience of being a paraplegic for the last 60 years. Why would I want to go back to that again?
Exactly. So then I really got into this whole, what the hell is that all about? And again, I write in the books in terms of the detail, but basically what you have is another level of this simulation, which is the astral dimension. And the idea is that when consciousness leaves the body, it enters this astral dimension, okay, but they don't want you going any further, because if you do, you're out of their control and thus out of their loosh machine. They want you to reincarnate back into this reality over and over again. So it's like a self-perpetuating machine. And I set out in the books in detail how this seems to work, talking to people who've got memories and have experienced it and all that stuff. And that is that when you enter this astral dimension and you see the light or the tunnel with a light at the end, you think you're in some form of heaven, because compared with what you've just experienced, it seems to be. But there is a whole system, which ultimately this simulation is run by AI, a level of AI that makes human AI currently even look like the Stone Age. And you go on this, what the Buddhists call wheel of samsara, where you basically come out of the body, you go through a process and you come back in. And so they've set up this multi-level simulation system so that it's self-perpetuating. And the reason consciousness comes back in is because what it learns in its astral state is that it's got lessons to learn, and it must go back to pay back its karma.
I'm begging you, become a master of AI tools, especially if you have 10 years left until retirement.
We hear this in the teachings of, or the research I've read, Journey of Souls, Michael Newton's books on reincarnation, and it's a common theme throughout all of the regression hypnosis that he does in his work. Thousands of people who are totally unrelated all say the same thing, that once they've left the body and they're in this astral state, they've sort of chosen to come back to fix or work on something that heretofore was a deficiency in the previous life. Yeah. And basically it's a load of old crap. And I tell you what I've noticed. I can come to something else I've noticed in a second, which relates to it. But what I've noticed is the relationship between humans in the human realm and to authority mirrors the relationship of consciousness, soul, if you like, in the astral in relation to authority. So people look to authority in the human world to tell them what to think and to tell them what to do. And overwhelmingly, they'll get their information from those sources, and they'll be guided by those sources. Oh, hello, doctor, I'm not very well, please save me, doctor, and all these different institutions of authority. And then when they leave the body, this is a fascinating thing to me, because one of the common themes of a near-death experience is when they leave the body, they say, it was amazing. I've never experienced anything like it. And then you say, well, you believe in reincarnation though now? Oh, yeah, reincarnation, yeah. So you must have experienced it lots of times then. So why have you never experienced it like this before? You must have done. And so that was my question. Well, how does that work then? And then I've come across information and talked to people who have a memory. They're not that many in number, but the common themes are very compelling. They have a memory of the incarnation process. They have a memory of the pre-incarnation process in the astral when they're about to come back. And they then have a memory of actually coming into the body. And what they talk about is that as you come in, you go through some sort of very powerful electromagnetic field that wipes your memory. Now, there are people, young kids mostly, that do remember previous lives in this reality, but they're comparatively few, and seems by about the age of 7, 8, it kind of disappears. But they do have memories, and they are absolutely phenomenally detailed, a lot of them. There's a guy I quote in my books, a guy called Stevenson, who was a psychiatrist, psychologist, and he set out to basically trash the idea that reincarnation was real through these kids who were describing previous lives, small kids. And what he did is noted what they said in detail about where they were in this previous life and what the background was and who was around them and what have you. And then he'd check it out, because a lot of them, the people involved were still around, still alive. And he became so amazed by the accuracy of these kids and what they were saying to what he was checking out, even in another country or another town where they'd never been, that he realized that reincarnation was real. I tell you one quick story I tell in one of the books. There was this lad who said that he was formerly married to this woman who was much older by now, obviously, but he was a kid. And he said, "Oh, I was married to this woman, and this is where I swear I lived." And you know, these kids are describing houses in other places, sometimes other countries, and they're describing how they're laid out, what the rooms are, etc. And they never ever been there. They're only little kids. And so Stevenson took this guy this kid to this home of where he said he was married to the woman. And Stevenson was saying, the funny thing was, the kid was talking to the wife as if he was still a wife. She was still a wife.
Wow.
When she's a much older woman and he's a little kid. And it came to the point where they said to him, the family, well, if you say you were
Make America safe again. This tiny $40 camera stops intruders before they get,
you know, previously one of us, where's your will? Because we could never find your will. And the kid went to, I think it was in the kitchen, to a floorboard and pointed at a floorboard. They took the floorboard up and there was the will. And so this guy, Stevenson, he wrote thousands of case studies of these people. So, but what they say is that when they come in, overwhelmingly, they pass through some kind of really powerful electromagnetic field. It wipes their memory, apart from the few, and so they go through a human life in a like blank sheet of paper state. They have no idea where they've come from. They have no idea where they're going. They have no idea why they're here. And so when they leave the body, and we can come to what death is in a second, when they leave the body, they're still in that mind wipe state. So they experience this astral dimension after they leave the body. And to them, they're experiencing it for the first time. I've never experienced anything like it. And you go up the tunnel, obviously, you know, if you're a Christian, you might see Jesus. If you're a Muslim, you might see another religious hero, etc., etc. You might see loved ones and all the stuff. I talk about in the books how they are projections. They're not real. It's all AI, basically, a level of AI that, you know, we can't comprehend even now. Wow. And they go up the tunnel still in this mind wipe state. And then what happens with near-death experiences is that they are told, it's not your time, you've got to go back. And it's so lovely at that point that often they say, well, I don't want to go back. Oh, no, you've got to go back. You've got lessons to learn and all that stuff. What they don't do is pass the threshold into the level of reality that's beyond that point of you've got to go back. So basically, none of these near-death experiences cross that threshold and realize what's beyond it. And so when you go beyond it, well, bang, you're on the wheel of samsara and you're back. And the question of death is very relevant because people are so frightened of it. What is death? We are consciousness vibrating far quicker than this reality. So to interact with it, we need a body. This body is a biological computer. And it's, I was saying another thing earlier that is intriguing to me, is that this explosion, this AI computer explosion in the human world that we've had in recent times, it's actually a technological mirror of how we experience reality, of what this reality is. Just another level of it, it's another technological level. And so I'm sitting in front of a computer now. If there was Wi-Fi in this room, then where is it? You can't see it. It's outside of visible light. You can't see it.
Right.
And if you said to someone who didn't know anything about Wi-Fi and knew nothing about computers, that there is a whole collective global reality in this room, and if you get a bit of kit called a computer, you can lock into it, it will lock into it, and it will put that reality on the screen in a completely different form to how it exists in the Wi-Fi field. Then if people didn't know about computers and Wi-Fi, they'd say you were mad. They'd say, what are you talking about? What Wi-Fi? I can't see it. And all these things that they say. But if you said to people now, in this room, there's a Wi-Fi field and it's a collective reality called the internet, and you can tap into it anywhere in the world if you've got a bit of kit, a computer to tap into it, people would go, oh yeah, I know about that Wi-Fi computer. Yeah, of course I know about that. Everyone knows about that. Now, the only difference, this is a really important point, the only difference between you're mad, mate, I can't see it, what are you talking about? And yeah, I know about that. The only difference is knowledge of that existence. And if you can therefore squeeze knowledge and squeeze the sense of the possible, you squeeze perception into the myopia that you need to control the great mass of people. So what's happening is the computer is locking in to the Wi-Fi field, and it's putting that field onto the screen in a totally different form to what it exists in the field. Okay, where is the computer doing that? It's doing it inside the computer. We're just observing it from the outside. It's all happening inside the computer. So then you come to how we interact with this reality, this simulation. There you go. The human body is a biological computer. And, you know, people think that biological is natural and technological is human made. Okay. But unless you have something, and we don't, that is unimpeachably natural, you have nothing to compare the natural to. And I'll tell you from my own research over the years is that this cult treats the biological as a form of technology, not natural. And so what you have is a body, and it's interacting with the matrix. What is the matrix? It's an information field. It's like a Wi-Fi field. It mirrors it.
This is day 1 of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts. This is day 21 of my husband doing Tai Chi workouts.
Make it a habit. 7 minutes of Tai Chi every morning, all the way for 1 month. In 1 week, you'll feel better. In 2 weeks, you look better. In 1 month, your wife won't believe your results.
And so you're tapping in, and it's an interactive, so you're affecting the field as the field is affecting you. As you wake up, you affect the field. That's another reason they don't want you to wake up. So we're interacting with it through the 5 senses. Now, this is mainstream science. How does the 5 senses work? They pick up frequency information. They turn it into electrical information. They communicate the electrical information to the brain, and different parts of the brain specialize in decoding different senses. And then it puts together from all that information a sense of reality. And if people say, well, we all see the same reality, well, we don't. We all see the same background, basic reality, but what we make of it and how we interact with it is completely different, depending on your state of perception, your state of being. But what I'm saying is that the world that appears, I grant you it does, appears to be out here, is all happening in here, just as it's happening inside the computer. There is no external world. It's happening in here, and the world is holographic. This is creating a holographic world simulation, exactly the same as a virtual reality game. So if you go on the internet to a video platform, and you go to like a compilation of people going crazy with headsets on, then you'll see how amazingly easy it is to control human perception. Because what is the video game using to give you this fake reality of a headset and the gloves and the audio and everything? It's using the 5 senses. It's using the same 5 senses. It's overriding them. It's overriding them with another level of information. And what you see in these compilations is they put the headset on, and they suddenly go absolutely bloody crazy. They're falling off the chair. They're running. They're screaming. They're running away, because almost in an instant they put the headset on, and the information is being communicated to their brain to override, quote, normal reality, and they're completely their perceptions are completely taken over.
Right.
Now imagine, because this body is a headset. In effect, it's a biological computer. And if people think, well, that's a bit strange, that's a bit far-fetched, well, hold on a minute. Unless you're out of breath when you become conscious of it, do you remember breathing? Do you think of breathing? Do you think all the time, I must breathe, I must breathe, I must breathe, I must breathe? No, only when you've got a bit of a problem might you think that, but overwhelmingly you're breathing.
Or your heart to beat.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think, okay, I must concentrate now because I've got to process this food. I've got to get this food down. And no, it just does it. It's a computer, and it's a biological computer, a very, very advanced biological computer, and we are interacting with the matrix, an information field, which is what some scientists are now coming to the conclusion it is. I was talking about this in the early 2000s. And we are living in a reality we think is outside of us, but actually it's in here. And if you put on these really advanced computer games now, these headsets, etc., you know, you've got arms, haven't you? Which you think are arms. You think are your hands. Why? Right. Because the perceptions can be overridden by information. So when I'm talking about the five senses, they're picking up frequency information, electrical information to the brain, blah, blah, blah.
I switched from doing nothing to 15 minutes of Tai Chi. The ears are a classic, but they all work like this. The ears are picking up sound waves, frequencies. They turn it into electrical information, send it to the brain. So when I'm talking now, I'm not passing words between us. I'm passing frequencies. My vocal cords are generating a frequency field, which we call words. And that's what the ears pick up, that frequency field. They then pass it to the brain in the form of electrical signals. And the brain decodes the frequency or the electrical information into the words we think we are hearing. And that's how the communication's going on. Everything is frequency. It's like Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the universe, then think of frequency and vibration. Exactly. We live in this ocean of frequencies. Now, if you're introducing 5G towers, 6G towers to come, being pushed by Trump in the last couple of weeks or so,
right?
And you've got Musk and Bezos and other satellites beaming electromagnetic fields at you, thousands of them and more to come, then we're not just in a field of an ocean of, for want of a word, natural interaction of frequencies. We've had this massive introduction of technologically generated frequencies, and therefore it's imposing and impacting upon the human mind, human perception. In the roadmap, I quote a whistleblower from China. This is some years ago he spoke, who said that the Chinese are already basically dictating thought through electromagnetic fields. Because what is the brain? It is processing information electrically and electromagnetically. And if you can get access to that field, you can impact what it thinks and how it processes that information. And in terms of what's happening now with the whole AI thing, it's that they're creating a massive global electromagnetic field through the towers, but massively from the low orbit satellites of people like Musk and SpaceX, through which they are creating a hive mind to dictate global perception. And although the Chinese, this guy said, are doing it directly, electromagnetic field to electromagnetic field, if you've got kit like nano stuff in the body that operates as a receiver of this hive mind electromagnetic field, then it's even more powerful. And that, for me, is what the COVID fake vaccine was all about. It was putting this nanotech into people, which is self-replicating. I've been in contact since then with many scientists and groups around the world that have been studying this and looking through electron microscopes at the self-replicating nanotechnology building systems in the body. And one of the things they found, it was a group in Spain called La Quinta Columna, which means fifth column in English. And they came out quite early when the fake vaccines started rolling out, and said there's something in the vials called graphene oxide. Now, graphene oxide is a relatively new, at least publicly new, substance, and it has two particular qualities. There's many others too that suit the cult. One is it amplifies electromagnetic fields. So if you've got graphene oxide in the body, it will amplify the effect on the body of an electromagnetic field that you come into contact with. And the other thing is it's a superconductor of electricity. And you have the brain processing information electrically. And if you can interfere with that, then you're dictating perception, and you're stopping the brain coming to its natural, if you like, natural conclusions of how it sees the world, or how it sees a situation. And what they, many people have explained this, how they use this gel to trick the immune system into allowing this crap into the body, and then it starts forming systems. And it also, it is said by these people who studied it, it's entering the brain through the blood-brain barrier, and which should protect the brain from external foreign bodies. And as a result, it's getting in the brain, and it's changing the way that people process information. And this nanotechnology is, on one level, it's the receiver system of the hive mind, which, if you have an electromagnetic field, you can pass frequencies through it. And what are frequencies? They're information. That's, I mean, we have television and radio, all this stuff, because frequency carries information through electromagnetic fields. And the idea is that this nanotechnology receives it, and then the body processes it into a state of reality. And so, you know, people might understand why I have been screaming from the rooftops that this is the game. This is where we're heading. Kurzweil's talking about this happening by 2030. It's already happening. And all this diversion stuff that Trump's involved in, although there are other reasons for that as well, but it's a massive diversion. It's getting you to look that way while actually the real deal's going on here.
You know, you think about some of the science fiction over the years, and just as you were talking about keeping us in this state of entropy where everyone's fighting and the chaos. You can go back to the 1960s. There was a Star Trek episode in the original series called Day of the Dove, where there was like this non-corporeal entity that was feeding off of the negative energy of the Federation and the Klingons by keeping them in a perpetual state of war. And there's been, you know, so many examples of this, right? And to keep us in this constant state of chaos in order to feed this beast. Did you believe the AI piece of this further amplifies that? It makes it even more.
Yeah. Well, basically, AI becomes louche on tap. You don't have to manipulate information to, and even events to get people into a low vibrational state. You just make sure they are, because AI is doing their thinking for them. And just
so you don't have to rely on false flags and put a massive information war together. You can rely on just turning on the spigot.
Yeah, that's the game, and this is where they want to go. But one very, very quick thing I need to mention is, like I said earlier, what is death? Okay, so the consciousness enters the body for a human life. Then the body, as I have written in the books, is actually a program. It's a perceptual program. Okay, like I said earlier, the body is running itself all the time because it's a program. It's a computer program. It's a biological computer. Is it too much of a stretch, therefore, to think that also encoded in this program are perceptual programs? And we can override them, but only if we open our minds to expansion of consciousness, because then consciousness is so powerful, it can override the program that's thinking for you even now and dictating emotional response. We have things like the fight or flight response. These are all part of the program and the response program. So another reason they don't want people to expand their awareness and open their minds is because it overrides the program. Suddenly, the impulses of the program are overridden.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you, David Icke, fit into this then? Because you have managed to override this program in a lot of ways, almost, I think, in many ways. Are you a glitch in the matrix then? Because you've expanded your consciousness to such a degree that you see all of these rungs of the ladder, and they certainly don't want more of you, right?
But every person who, or every consciousness that expands into the greater reality is a glitch in the matrix. Yeah. That's what they're terrified of. They're terrified of the whole Neo character in the Matrix movies was like a glitch in the matrix, big expansion of awareness of actually what the game is and what this reality is. That alone kind of is massively destructive for the matrix itself. And so this is what we call awakening. And that's why I've been, I think, a little frustrated, to say the least, is that I've seen, in many ways, present company accepted, by the way, I've seen the mainstream of the alternative media, as all the mainstreamers have come in since COVID, squeezing the sense of reality into politics and corporations and banking and all this stuff. And what we need to do is continue to expand our awareness beyond that, because that has gone from there to there. We need to go much deeper into our expansion of awareness, because then we override the program. We don't react the way the program would normally react. Now, if you just sit quietly and you can listen to your thoughts, you can do it. Just sit quietly, just listen to your thoughts, just observe your thoughts. If she said this to me, I'd say that to her. And that woman in 1963, she was the one that responsible for my life, and this chatter, this constant chatter going on. You can observe it.
Eckhart Tolle said in, I think, The Power of Now or The New Earth, he wrote about it years ago. He said, if you've ever seen a crazy person walking on the street, just sort of chattering out loud, making nonsense, he's like, we're no different than that person, because we're just doing it quietly in our own brains. We're just nonstop chattering in our brains, but this so-called crazy person is doing it out loud on the street.
Yeah. So when you observe your own thoughts and you observe that chatter, who's doing the observing? What's the chatter? It's not you. You're observing it. What is it? The chatter is the program. The observer is consciousness beyond the program. And if we can impact the perceptions of consciousness on the body, we can break the program of the body, including many things that happen to the body that we can override. You know, I was told in when was I? I was 21. 21, maybe it was a bit earlier, actually, when I was told this. And I had rheumatoid arthritis. I was a professional footballer. And the doctors said, you can't play again. Yeah, this was about when I was 19. You can't play again. It's impossible. And oh, by the way, you could be in a wheelchair in your 30s with this. And I thought, no, I won't. No, I bloody won't. And they gave me, I think it was called Indesid. It was a big jar of bloody pills, right? So it'll take these 3 a day. And I said, well, will that get rid of the arthritis? Oh, no, but it will take the pain away. I said, well, you can stick them then. I don't want them. I'll override it. I didn't say that because I wasn't aware of the way things worked in those days, but I thought, no, I'm not having it. So I played for another 2 years with rheumatoid arthritis, professional football, ludicrous, you think. And then my career ended when I was 21. And the arthritis was progressing. And it got to the point where it was really, really bad. And I could hardly function. I was a television presenter at the time. It was very difficult sometimes. And then it reached a real extreme point where I'm going on a trip to India to see a friend of mine. And I'd never been to India before. And I'm at a terminal at Heathrow Airport in London. And the arthritis is so bad, I'm having to shuffle my feet along the ground because I can't walk. And I sat in the departure lounge until the last person was going on so that I didn't have to stand. It was a nightmare. So I then get to India. And then I thought, hold on a minute. By this time, I was into all this stuff. I thought, you're saying that mind consciousness can override the body program. Yeah, okay. Well, bloody do it then.
Right.
And I'm now 73. I've got this hand is like that. It's been like that since way back. But the rest of me, fine.
So you can walk fine.
I play football with my grandkids.
Wow.
I walk fine. And at this time, I should be wizened away with arthritis completely taking over my body. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. My consciousness is more powerful than this program. And we can do this. But we're not told any of this stuff because they want the body program to prevail. And it's my view that if you do not open your mind to consciousness and come to how that works in a minute, then the body program is running your life. It's your thoughts. It's your emotional responses. That's why people are so bloody predictable, because the body program is predictable. But if you can open your mind to consciousness, you can override the program, and it ceases to dictate your life. You start dictating your life from a much more expansive state of being. So, again, I said earlier that things are much simpler than they're portrayed. In the early days of the 1990s, the only people groups that would put me on and listen to me, what I had to say at all, and even that was, in the back room at the end of the evening, was what was then called the New Age. And as a result of speaking at some of these conferences in the 1990s, I saw the guru figures of the New Age. And I'd see them getting massive audiences, thousands of people, and I would listen to them and all this stuff, and it all sounded terribly complicated. Like you have to go on a quest or drink green tea or something, and you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do the other, and I'm thinking, I can't believe it's that bloody complicated. And this is my conclusion. to expand your consciousness.
The body scanner reveals the brutal truth about your body that your regular scale will never tell you. For weeks,
into the beyond the simulation realm of knowledge, which is when you see it. Oh my God, so that's what's going on then. All you need to do is redefine your self-identity. If you self-identify with being human, not as an experience, that's what it is, but as an I, you enter the realm of severe limitation, of I can't, of it's not possible. You enter the self-identity dictated by the labels of a human life, income bracket, color, race, religion, all these things. You are operating in the matrix, in the simulation, and you are of the simulation. And therefore, the simulation is dictating your entire sense of reality. However, when you self-identify not as a human, that's an experience, but as the consciousness, ultimately at the infinite expansion of consciousness, you self-identify with that, you are expanding your self-identity from little me, I've got no power, to I have the power of infinity if I want to tap into it. And that self-identity expansion automatically expands your consciousness deeper and deeper and deeper into the infinite field, where you start accessing expansion of insight, of knowledge, of awareness. That's why the belief systems, they don't care what we have as long as they're rigid and unquestioning. That's why they want us in this situation, because we're not going to go there. What are you? Oh, as long as I believe in Jesus, I'll go to heaven. Yeah, you'll go into the astral and you'll be back here, mate. Expand your awareness by expanding your self-identity. And suddenly the world is completely different, because you are completely different. You're no longer little me. You are increasingly, as you expand, you are infinite me. And you see things that you never saw before. You see how it all fits together in a way you never saw before. But all the pressure is to remain in the box. What will people think of me if I say this? Oh, I better not say it then. Sod that for a game of soldiers. Have some of this, mate.
Yeah. No, many things you've said there, so powerful. And I love what you're saying about people who've maybe had this awareness over the past few years since COVID, and they're thinking like the banking cabal, they're thinking, you know, Klaus Schwab, they're thinking in sort of smaller, yes, more expanded, but they're still thinking within this narrow framework, and we need to go much bigger. When you talk about death then, I guess maybe the final question then is, you talk about that Buddhist wheel of samsara, like in going back into the mix again, if you don't break that. If you do expand your consciousness to this level that you're talking about, are you able to break free of that wheel?
Oh, then, God, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
And then what happens? I guess that's the ultimate question then.
Okay. This simulation, whether it's the human level of material density, illusory material density, I mean, you know, Einstein realized that there's no such thing as the material world. It's just energy condensed to a slow vibration. A slow vibration within what? Within visible light. I'm looking around this room now, and I can see a couple of lights. I can see a computer and a microphone and a wall and a door. And what I can see is form. What is form? It's energy that has been condensed into a vibration slow enough for me to see it within visible light. Between the form appears to be empty space. It ain't empty space. It's infinity, but it's outside of visible light, which is why it seems to be empty. And so we are living in this illusion, and the illusion is is designed to keep us, whether it's in the human world or in the astral world, within the frequency band of the simulation. So again, every time we think and feel emotion, perceive, we are generating energy, and that energy is dictating our energetic field and its nature. So when someone is in a high vibrational state, they might say something like, "Oh, I feel so light today." And the reason they say they feel light is because their emotional mental state is generating high frequencies, and they are vibrating their energetic field into a higher frequency state, which is why they feel lighter, because it's faster and it's more ethereal, if you like. And then you've got people who say, "I feel so heavy today. Oh, got the weight of the world on my shoulders." That emotional state is sending out low vibrational, low frequencies, which are having the effect on your energetic field of making it far more dense, so we feel heavy. Now, so our perceptions, our self-identity is a frequency field which we are generating. The idea of this simulation and its non-human manipulators, bunch of prats, as I said, is to keep both in this material world and in this astral dimension, to keep the target population, if you like, vibrating, perceiving, thus vibrating within the limits of the simulation.
Ovaj uređaj vam omogućava da prevodite bilo koji jezik bez internet konekcije. Upoznajte NNC, najmoderniji dvosmerni instant prevodilac koji je postao recentna obsesija za ljude širom sveta.
Some people call it the ring pass knot, or the Ouroboros, as some groups have called it over the centuries. It's a vibrational limit, and if you're within it, then you're on the wheel of samsara. Oh. Because what do the Buddhists say?
Joy or sadness.
Yeah,
you're still within that range.
Yeah, you're still within that range. But the thing is that you know, the Buddhists talk about the fact that to break, and you know, I've got a lot of questions about Buddhism as well, but on this I'm in total agreement. They're saying that you to escape the wheel of samsara, you need to reach a state of, quote, enlightenment. What does that mean? A state of awareness, a state of expanded awareness, where your field is vibrating so quickly that no way can this simulation field keep you within itself. You're straight through it. It's like it doesn't exist. This limit of the simulation doesn't exist, because it's like a radio station passing through another radio station. The one radio station is of a completely different wavelength. The other radio station can't stop it. And this is why they want to keep us in ignorance, both in the human world and in the astral soul world. Keep us in ignorance, to keep us within the limits of the simulation. And if we say sod that for a game of soldiers, I am all that is, has been, and ever can be, having a brief human experience. I will decide where I go from here and what I do, not a bunch of prats who are seeking to entrap me. No way, I can't be entrapped unless I believe I can be entrapped. Bang, gone, out of here. And that's their worst nightmare, because as consciousness leaves the simulation, there's less and less and less loosh available to feed these psychopathic, very strange entities.
I guess I'll get you out of here on this, David. And you've been so gracious with your time. What don't you know yet?
What don't I know yet? Well, it's like Socrates in ancient Greece is supposed to have said, wisdom is knowing how little we know. So massive amounts, I don't know, massive amounts.
I guess where are some of the blind spots that you feel in your vast knowledge that you're still deeply exploring? You know, do you feel like a white belt in karate in any certain area?
Understanding the nature of reality beyond the simulation. You can get glimpses of it. You can get sometimes experiences of it, but we're talking about something that is infinite in nature. And thus, it's basically forever. That's what we're experiencing. We're experiencing forever. So beyond the simulation, which we are immediately aware of, what lies beyond that? Well, forever does. Infinite possibility. See, what I'm saying that what we call God is, and this brings us back to religion. One of the things that I focus on in part of the roadmap is religion. I've got 5 chapters of the 28 are on religion and its impact upon human perception and what religion is, and what is this God that people are worshipping through religion. Because there's this great line, very true, energy flows where attention goes. What you focus upon, you put your energy into. So if your focus, and worship is a very powerful level of attention. If you're worshiping something that actually is not what you think you're worshiping, it's a fake God masquerading as the, loving God, masquerading as the loving God. Don't read the Old Testament then.
What happens if my dad starts Tai Chi tomorrow?
How old is your father?
He is 56.
Oh, perfect. By the end of September, you won't even.
Then you're focusing your attention on that, and thus you're making an energetic connection with it. Therefore, it can control your energy. But if you look beyond that, beyond the simulation, for me, what this God is, I don't use the word God, but I call it the infinite. It is all possibility, all potential, waiting to manifest. And we, therefore, have an infinity of choices of what to manifest. What we have got caught in is one creation, one possibility, which is entrapment. And we don't have to stay here unless we believe in it, and we believe that we are therefore entrapped and there's nothing we can do. That's what they want. That works at all levels. Look at what I said earlier about Elon Musk. Human AI fusion is inevitable. We can't stop it then. Well, you're living with an infinite possibility. Of course, you can stop anything. You can create anything. You can stop anything. You can do anything you bloody like, but only if you know that you can. If you don't, you'll be limited by the limits of your perception of what is possible. It's like there's a guy, I think it was called Schopenhauer, who said something, words to the effect of people basically misunderstand the limits of possibility with the limits of their own mind. The limits of possibility compared with the limits of the sense of the possible. They're not the same. If you talk to most human beings about the limit of possibility, then it's going to be here somewhere. But when you expand your awareness into the realms of of infinity beyond the simulation, you realize that anything becomes possible, because you're dealing with all possibility. You know, when people talk about God being all that is, has been, and ever can be, and you think, well, that's impossible. What the human mind thinks is that's impossible. Nothing can be all that is, has been, and ever can be, because they think in terms of time, which is another illusion, by the way, which can be easily explained. But what is all that is, has been, and ever can be? What is it saying? All possibility. And if you're dealing with a realm of all possibility, you're dealing with all that is, all that has been, and all that can be, because all those are an expression of all possibility. And that's what we're living in. We're living in an infinity of all possibility. And what the simulation and its creators have done is put us in a box that limits our sense of the possible. And that's the only way that the few can control the many.
Wow. The new documentary that David is a part of is called The Human Antenna, which covers a lot of this AI fusion. So I encourage people to, we'll have it linked up for people to go and watch that, but also read David's newest book called The Roadmap. Dive through all of his teachings, because I think once you go down this rabbit hole, you're never going back. You're never going back. And you can start to see all of these news stories, whether it's Trump in Greenland and Minnesota and all of these things. Once you understand that there's a higher level at play here, all of those things start to fall apart. It's really powerful. So I just want to thank you for expanding the consciousness of all of us, David, and all of your incredible work over the years, and your graciousness with your time tonight to be able to sit and talk with us. I really thank you.
You know, when you spent the last 36 years trying to get information out, it's no problem finding the time to talk to people like you, I tell you.
Well, it's been my great honor and my great pleasure. So thank you, and I hope I get a chance to sit down with you face to face in the near future. I'll be in the U.
Ćao. Evo, izgleda je proradio. Sada se. Čućemo se u međuvremenu. Ne mogu nikako sve da imam u koncentraciji, sve ove male, sitne tehničke detalje od kojih sve puno zavisi, ali evo, sad se čujemo, tako. Sve u svemu, poslušajte dobro priča ICKE, ima od njega zaista šta da se nauči i otprilike da vidimo gde se tu nalazimo i zašto nam se sve ovo dešava. Evo, ajde da probam još da, mislim da sam to ovde napravio. Samo sekund. Evo ovako. Vezano je na ovu temu koju ja ih pričao i da iskoristim kad smo već u emisiji, samo još ovo da vam kažem. Ajde da vidimo ovako. Da kaže Zaharova oko zahteva da se gase ruski mediji u Srbiji. Upravo sve ovo što vam je David Icke pričao je na tom fonu. Znači, da nas stave u tu, kako David kaže, kutiju, da mislimo ono što misli CKJ. To bi ovi stari gledalci znaju što to znači. Iz CK-a kad dobiješ direktivu šta da misliš. Jer postoji taj zahtjev da se ti ruski mediji zatvore i da bi to kod nas, na primjer, moglo da proizvede. Zašto oni od Srbije ili od drugih zemalja zahtevaju da zatvore medije, ruske ili bilo koje druge? Zato da bi tu zemlju učinili ranjivijom, da ne bi postojali alternativni izvori informacija, da bi se ta zemlja, na primjer, oslanjala isključivo na zapadne medije i samim tim postala podložna uticaju. Upravo sve ono što vam je David Icke ispričao u sitna crevca i objasnio kako stvari funkcionišu. Ono što kao neki zaključak, ne ide ti ta tehnika, pa trudim se, dajem sve od sebe, šta da kažem. Ono što kao neku vrstu zaključka možemo izvesti, a to je da je informaciono polje glavno bojno polje Trećeg svjetskog rata. To je borba za ljudske duše, borba za interpretaciju zapadnih projekata, borba za ovladavanje ovim svetom. Zaista postoji nešto okultno, postoji nešto satansko. Na vrhu piramide i sam David je u početku govorio o tome da postoje koordinatori. Nikad ih nismo vidjeli, ne znamo kako se zovu, ali disperzirani su u prostoru preko raznoraznih okultnih tajnih društava, javnih društava, Ujedinjenih nacija, MMF-a, Svjetske trgovinske organizacije, mnogobrojnih protokola, povelja, svega. Sve se to koordiniše iz jednog centra. Zašto? Pa zato što jedino tako stvari mogu da funkcionišu. Ovo je 5 piramidalne strukture, ova zemaljska ravan, i tako je od uvek bilo i bić. I oni koji pružaju otpor tome, isto tako su piramidalno strukturirani, mora da postoji na kraju neko ko misli za sve. Tako stvari. Sve o svemu neću dalje da dužim, ovo je stvarno potrebalo, nikad ovo nisam uradio. Sve vas pozdravljam i volim, za carstvo nebesko u slobodnoj Srbiji. Živjeli.